Welcome everyone to the first ever live stream product launch of the Markets app. I'm Emily Refermat, the editor of VendingMarketWatch.com, and I am so excited to be here in Atlanta with the co-founders of Gimme for this exciting product launch. So I'm here with Cory Hewett and Evan Jarecki.
Hey everyone.
And we're here to talk about the Market app. So, what should our audience expect to hear today?
So we're going to be talking about the app itself, of course. We also want to give the audience a look at what it's like for real in the field. And then we're going to go through a live demo of what it looks like to use it for the people that will be holding the app and using it every day.
Perfect. And, if our audience members want to learn more or ask some questions, because we encourage you to ask questions during this live event, we'll be answering them. How can we do that?
So during the event, we're going to have our Twitter handle up the whole time at Gimme Vend. You can also submit questions to us live in the chat for the live stream as well. We'll be able to take those and get them to Emily as soon as we can.
Terrific. And let's get into what made you decide. Obviously, it's a micro market app. So what made you go there? What's your background in the industry?
So for me, I actually got started by owning my own vending machines myself. It started with this 6-foot-tall red spiral gumball machine.
Love it.
And I had it at the sports bar. And from there, I was able to grow into 26 traditional vending machines, snack and soda vending machines. And going from middle school to high school and ultimately to college, got to see what it was like to manage inventory levels and how to keep the right products in stock at the right time, and saw some of the challenges attached to that as well.
Excellent.
So,
and you, Evan?
Yeah, my experience, when I first met Cory, he told me about him owning the vending machines and owning the vending business. And it wasn't until I was graduating from college at Georgia Tech when Cory pitched me the idea to bring technology to the vending industry. And so my experience before that was very little. I knew nothing about the industry other than consuming snacks and Monsters throughout college. But when we talked about connecting these machines, we learned a lot together. I really started my experience as a vending route driver. I serviced a machine at Georgia Tech that grew into building the technology for many operators throughout. So over the last couple of years, we've learned a lot about the ways and the challenges that have, the industry has seen in vending, and how it's changing and how it's changed over the last 12 months even.
Now, I think we've all seen a little bit about how you've handled vending, how your Gimme Key and things, really assist operators and efficiencies in getting that information a little bit easier. So why the Market app? When you're so strong in vending, you have some background in vending, why the Market app?
Well, the Market app for us started because the industry was moving in that direction. And I think you probably see it more closely than maybe even we see it because of how involved you are in the industry. But, a year ago, it was published that there are 6 million vending machines. And 12 months later, there are 5 million vending machines. And our industry is not shrinking, it's growing. So with the vending machines dropping, it's all these new markets coming online, bringing new revenue, new profitability, and new avenues to connect directly with the end user, the person who's ultimately buying and eating, I know your favorite product, the Snickers bar.
It is.
And as the market's moving, with the markets moving to markets, we're seeing all this attention going to, what are the tools that we're going to use to manage this new thing? And for us, the challenge was, our customers have new stuff and they want software to help them manage it better. Can we squeeze markets to fit inside the vending box? Can we just expand Gimme Vending as it is today, make it a little bit wider? Instead of a vending machine, we'll just make the software wider and squeeze markets into it. And we realized out in the field that we couldn't do that.
Okay.
Markets were brand new. You were able to have, instead of maybe 45 SKUs, you had 250 SKUs. Instead of swapping products maybe on a quarterly or semi-annually basis, you could swap products every single time you went there. You could have 45 SKUs of baked goods and fresh items if you really wanted to. So operating a micro market like a vending machine did make sense. So we knew we would have to build a brand new product.
Excellent. So you figured out you had to build this brand new product. Anything specific that you wanted to include in the app that you learned along the way?
Well, I think one of the ways that we did this for vending and then now for micro markets was spending time in the field with operators. For some of you out there, maybe I've actually been on a ride-along at your operation where I've been out in the field with a micro markets driver, kind of learning the day-to-day challenges and learning the day-to-day process on what it takes to service and inventory a micro market. So we learned from the operators directly. And one of the main things we heard and that we learned from those drivers, from those merchandisers, was that speed was extremely important. And so one of the things we're going to show today with the demo and hear from a driver in the field is how our micromarkets app is helping drivers inventory their micromarkets twice as fast.
Twice as fast. That's quite a claim. How does a micromarket app, help a driver service them twice as fast?
That's a really important question, and honestly, I think that people would be skeptical to say, we're good at markets, we're good at vending. How can you take the time that we spend now in the field, whether it's a big market or nano market? Come on, how are you going to cut that in half?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We welcome the opportunity to prove that, actually, and I'd like to do that. I know that we have someone in the field who's just been using it just today. And I think that it would make sense maybe if we could talk to her. And
that would be terrific. In the field, see it in action.
In the field, we've got Colleen Callahan, our Director of Operations, out in the field with a driver who's been using the app today. Let's see if we can get her on live.
While we're calling Colleen, because she is on the job with the driver.
Right, it's an important job.
It is an important job, making sure that the markets are merchandised properly. I think one of the things that we're going to see, we talked about speed. So one of the things that we knew the market app was going to have to do right out of the gate were combined into three things. It's going to have to be fast. We learned that directly from the people in the field. It'd have to be much faster to be valuable. But then we also learned that it was going to have to work on multiple types of devices. So if you've used the Gimme vending app before, then you're used to it working on an iPad. And what we heard from the industry is it would need to work on a phone or a tablet, whatever the driver was already carrying to manage, maybe a dedicated route or maybe a hybrid route.
All right.
It would have to be able to work on both.
Yep.
And then the third thing that we learned from the industry, from the operators in the field with Evan, getting all those sky miles, and, racking up all the odometer miles.
Sure.
Knowing the insides and out.
Yeah.
Knowing the inside of an operation, a market, and how it works is people have been hearing coming soon for a while. And in fact, Evan, I think that you had a couple videos where coming soon was a big part of it.
Yep.
We knew that it couldn't be something permanently in construction. So we're going to be launching it today at the conclusion of this live stream. So those are the three things. So it would have to be twice as fast. It would have to work on whatever device they are carrying with them. And it'd have to be something that's real. And by real, we mean something that you could actually start using right away.
Yeah.
All right. Terrific. Can't wait to see it.
Okay, so it sounds like we may not be able to get in touch with Colleen in the field right now.
Sure.
What a shame.
It is a shame, but I know that there's a lot of good content, and there's probably people wondering, Evan, you told me it's twice as fast.
Sure.
Yeah.
What does the software do differently? How's the product different? Would you mind taking us through a demo on how that works?
I would love to. So let's get we have her live. All right.
Okay.
We're going to go back. We're going to switch back to Colleen in the field with the driver.
This is great.
We have her on. We're just going to plug in here so we can hear the conversation. And here we go.
Hey.
Hi, Colleen.
Hello. How are you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Doing great. How are y'all doing?
Good. I'm here with Robbie from Southern Refreshment Services, a 5-star company, and we just got off of a markets route. We're back at the warehouse now, and Robbie's been using the app for about a week and a half now, and I'm going to let him take over and just introduce himself and what he does for Southern.
Hi, my name's Robbie, as you mentioned. I've been here for about a year and a half. I am a bump jumper, cover vacations, sick days, and I train all the new drivers. Follow behind them, make sure that they understand all of our expectations. Been using the app for, like you said, about a week and a half. Been quick enough, and it's been nice being able to A, have a functional, reliable scanner, and B, the ability to use what we, prior to this, had multiple apps for into one. So instead of going to one app to scan food out, another to do inventory, it's been really great to be able to use an app that we already have and incorporate another one.
Got it. So definitely easier. And I know that, you haven't been on it long, but what do you think makes your day go by faster?
Truthfully, it's because I don't have to fidget between 4 different apps for all the different things that we do. And then with this new update from yesterday, where we can take a picture there, that even incorporates something else that we were using another app for. Just
Gotcha. Okay. So I know that you said that you were going to train a couple of the other drivers on new software and this one specifically. How do you think that they're going to feel about it?
I think change is weird, but I think people are going to love it long term because it's just efficient. It works. It's 0 hiccups so far.
That's awesome. How long did it take you to learn how to use it?
10, 15 minutes or so, if that.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, Robbie, I won't keep you for too much longer. I know that we got to go unload the truck, but what's on your Christmas wish list this year?
I think for me, when I'm doing inventory, I think it's nice. It would be nice to be able to see what the system thinks isn't there before I change my inventory.
Got it.
Nice to see that feel-good feeling.
Well, who knows? Maybe Santa will come early this year.
Sounds great.
Cool. All right. We're going to go unload the truck now, so I'll send it back to you guys.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Colleen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
So that was amazing hearing from a driver, in the field already.
Yep.
Sounds like the scanner was an issue that you've solved, and the one app.
Right.
Instead of having to go into multiple apps, including this new picture taking feature, is really important to him, and really, so that must be part of your time saving. But what else? I mean, is there any more to that? I mean, why is the one app faster? How does it connect in the break room?
These are really good questions. And Evan, I know that you in particular spent a lot of time with our ops and development team figuring out the engineering that would need to take place in order to cut that time in half. And before we go into that, just to explain some of the methodology that goes into how Gimme Vending and Gimme Markets are built, we take time looking at the human factors and things. So when we say, we're looking at what the driver does, for us, when we look at what the driver does, that means a GoPro is mounted on their chest and on their head, so we can watch where their eyes are moving, where their head's pointing, where their hands are going, and we're looking at this is the investment of time that they're making, perhaps commuting between the truck and the market, or spending at a market interacting with a tablet, or maybe after they put the tablet down, stocking products. There are some things we can't speed up. The speed, for instance, of putting a product on a market shelf is not something we have a lot of influence over. But if they're spending a lot of time counting a product that doesn't need to be counted, if they're spending time, for instance, trying to find something in the software, like where do I go to find this product so I can enter a value, those are things we have a lot of control over. So, Evan, I know that it's a couple buckets in how we got that speed so high. Could you walk us maybe through that?
Yeah, I would love to. And I'll show the app here in just a minute. But from an overview on the 3 buckets that where the speed is coming from for the drivers, one is a unique value to Gimme's Markets app.
And we're pretty proud of this one.
And this one has been in development for a while, but something we are so proud to be able to show today. And this is what we call automatically variable spot checking. And this is moving away from traditional full inventories where you take a long time to count every product in a market, but more focused on counting only the products that deviate from what's expected to be in the market. Therefore, when you're going to the market, you're just counting what you need to count.
Now, is that a learned thing, or is that something that's programmed in just from the beginning, and what's going to be very, very
so the feature of that is there from the beginning. It's there and available today, but it is a learned over time. As you continue servicing, and the better the data that goes into that market, the more you're there, the better you'll be able to know what you need to count the next time you go back.
Spot checking.
Absolutely. Okay. Yep. The second bucket has to do with the way that the interface is set up. So part of when I was on these routes with the drivers, it's learning what their process is, what's the first thing they do when they get into the market, and then all the way through what the last thing they do at a market. With the GoPros, that's where their hands and their eyes are going. But then sort of the process too. They bring in a lot of products. We learned that many of these drivers are adding those products first. Sometimes the micro markets have already accepted these products. They need to get them in the market. So our app follows that workflow. It's a workflow-driven interface that matches the driver, the micro market's driver. And this saves from unnecessary taps and being able to navigate through the app very quickly, very fluidly, in a simple-to-use interface.
Now, let's say you have a driver that does it a little differently.
Sure.
Because you have lots of different operations.
Yeah.
They might train their drivers a little bit differently, or it's a hot day or a cold day, might change a little.
Yeah.
Some things. What do you do in that instance?
So the menu and the action-driven menu gives the driver the flexibility to perform the actions any way they would like. The way it's laid out just makes it easy to navigate between those screens. So they're still able to save the time going from one place to the next, no matter what order they should perform the service in. Yeah.
Can they save their adjustments so it remembers their specific?
Absolutely. So as they move between
excellent.
Screens, as there is an in-progress service, something that's in the middle of that service, you can close your device, you can make the changes you need to make, and then go back in and pick right back up where you left off.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that everyone must be enticed to okay, well, let us just see it.
Sure.
You mentioned 2 of the 3 though.
Yeah.
What's that third way that we do help save time?
So the third one is a really important one, and this is that our application is native to the iOS devices that we work with. And what that means is that this is not a web-based application. You're not waiting on pages to load as you're navigating between screens. And something even Robbie mentioned where he's switching between apps. One, there's no switching between apps because the app consolidates and allows you to make those functions happen as you're using the app.
So no matter which market you're at, maybe a ADM market or a Smart HQ market or another type of market, you stay in the same app and you don't have to log in and out.
Right.
Oh, that's definitely a nice feature.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So it's the fact that it's that native app, you're not waiting on pages to load. This means you could walk into a micro market with no cell service. You've lost all service. You can continue using the buttery smooth application and not wait for pages to load while you're within the app.
On the device.
Exactly.
So it doesn't need the connectivity.
So you had this. You had the cell signal before you went into the market. It grabbed exactly what you needed. You walk in, you lose all signal. You can still perform everything you need to at the market, and as soon as you walk back outside, that information is uploaded immediately.
I have to say, when you're watching the GoPros, if somebody says it takes a page, 1.5 seconds to load, you tap and you wait 1.5 seconds, it might sound like you're complaining or maybe a little impatient. I know that sometimes I get accused of that. Like, Cory, you can wait 1.5 seconds. But if you start thinking about a driver tapping on an item, 1.5 seconds goes by, then the page loads, and then they tap to do something with it, 1.5 seconds goes by, and you have 250 SKUs, we can start to look at, 2 seconds, twice, 250 products.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally spending minutes looking at a blank screen if you're using and waiting on a website.
Especially a website, I think anybody
So that's one of those
that experience.
gratifying areas to save time.
Understand,
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Well, I would love to show everyone how we're doing that within the app, what that app looks like, why the platform we've launched the application on is a reliable and flexible platform to meet every operator's needs. And you'll know, again, going through the app, that it is available now. And after this live stream, you'll be able to go to gimmemarkets.com to learn more about the application and get where you need to go from there. So.
Perfect. Wonderful. I can't wait to see it.
All right.
And don't forget to send in questions if you have any.
Yes, we will take the questions live during the demo. Emily will be able to see them as they're coming in, and I'm happy to pause and stop as we walk through it to address those questions specifically.
Perfect.
And maybe before we hop in, do we have anything?
We had a question about how it worked without cell service. Which
great.
I think you answered, although if you want to recap that real quick.
Sure. It works without cell service because it's a native on-device app. That means the information that you need is preloaded before you leave the warehouse. Obviously, if you have connectivity throughout the day, then it's able to refresh and collect any changes. But once you leave the warehouse, it includes just enough data so you can go to all of your services and not require anything else to get it done.
Excellent, excellent. And what kind of platforms is it available on?
iOS platform, which would include the iPad, the iPad mini, iPad Pro, although that would be a big device to carry around, all flavors of iPhone, and even theoretically an iPod Touch as well.
Are there plans to move to the Android or not at this time?
Right now, there aren't plans to move to the Android
So for now, the iOS platform, but all the flavors of iOS within it.
All right. All right. Wonderful.
Sure.
Well, I can't wait to see the demo.
Let's hop right in. So I am running the application on my iPad Mini 4 today, and I am taking the role of a driver, a markets driver in the field. And the first thing that I see before we go into the servicing of the market is my schedule screen. This is listing out all of my markets on my schedule for today to go visit. And let's kick it off with the Springfield market.
Which customers' data are we showing right now?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. This is a demo version for everyone out there. This is not using any customers' live data. We take data security very seriously, and this is a demo version of my Evans market route for today. So
terrific.
But let's hop right into it. So I'm going to tap on the Springfield market, and this is going to bring me to that first part of how we are speeding up drivers in the field is that action-driven, that workflow-driven interface. As you'll see, there are some tasks that need to be completed at this market, including adding products, spot checking, wasting, collecting money, and to Robbie's point, being able to take a photo of the market as well. And I think this might be a new feature for some of our users that are using the app today, because this is a bit of a surprise for them as well, to be able to add these features. So
terrific.
But let's go into it. So the first thing we'll do is adding the products. And you'll see on this screen here, you're going to see your pick list. So this list is populated for operators that are using Lightspeed to generate their pick list. That's what this list is. So a driver can just navigate through this, check the items that have already been pre-picked for them at the market. And if they need to make any changes, all they have to do is tap change. Let's change the Diet Coke.
If it wasn't in their pre-kit.
If it wasn't in their pre-kit, so they want to bring it down to 0 because it didn't get pre-kitted for them. Or if it's the other way around, the system thinks it's adding 4, but really you have 12 with you, you can take it to 4, bring it up to 12, and go from there. And so this will make the adjustments automatically for the driver. Again, this would be that predetermined pick list. If you need to add products that aren't on that pick list, you can do that too. So we have 2 ways of doing that. One is searching. So if I wanted to add a product in here, let's add the Cherry Coke. I'm going to add a pack of 12. Typed it in. We also have, and I have in my hand here, is a Bluetooth low energy scanner. So there are many number of scanners out there that drivers can carry with them, but I've got one here. I'm just going to turn it on. The beautiful part about this is it will connect to our application automatically. So if you cut back to the demo now, you'll see that in the top right-hand corner, there is a Bluetooth indicator. And as you noticed, I did not go into the settings of the iPad in order to connect to this device.
Didn't tap anything.
I didn't tap anything. I just had the app open. It automatically detected my Bluetooth low energy scanner, and the app is ready to scan in products. So saving steps, again, saving time.
Now, is that something you had to pair previously, like you did it before we got started behind the scenes, and you saved the step now? Or literally, as soon as you turn on a compatible Bluetooth low energy scanner, the app finds it, connects to it? How does that work?
It was literally as I was in the app. And actually, this would be if I closed my application, put my iPad down, and Cory went into another room to service another market and picked up that Bluetooth low energy scanner, his application would pick it up automatically too. There is no removing from settings and going, there's none of that at all. It'll just automatically find the nearby Bluetooth low energy device. And also, that's kind of a plug to our the vending application as well. We, as electrical engineers, this is where the Bluetooth low energy parts of our background have also come into play for the Markets app as well.
Terrific.
But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show the scanning in of a product. I have a Nature Valley Crunchy Bar with me here. So as I scan it, you'll see it populates the product, and then from there I can add products live into the market. So allowing drivers the flexibility on this app and on this platform to search the products that they need. If everything's already pre-picked for them, they can check those pre-kits as they would do at the market first. And of course, you can scan in products as well.
Okay.
So that's adding products, first step of the process. You'll notice that when we go back to our task-driven menu, that has been checked off. Now, let's hop into spot checking. So as we had mentioned, this is the kind of the sweet sauce of the Gimme Markets app. This is where we're able to speed up drivers twice as fast, and that has to do with that automatically variable spot checking. And that's where this comes into play. You'll see on this list, we have 5 items that are being suggested to spot check at this micro market. And from there, we would just go down the list. The Mountain Dew, this could be an item that the reason it's deviating could be due to something like shrink at the market, whether that was a theft or that was just missing product for some reason, or these could be really high volume products that need to be checked more frequently because you want to make sure you have enough of those products in the next time you go. Exactly. So let's just go down the list here. We're going to check the Mountain Dew, 3 of those. I love Starburst, but unfortunately they're out of this market. Let's do the Jack Links, Sun Chips, and you also have the flexibility with this spot check. If you didn't need to check an item that had a bunch in it, I just skipped the item right there as well. So it allows the driver the flexibility to check what they need to check. Our system is what's suggesting what they should be counting.
Now, I noticed that you've been using the plus and minus buttons.
Yes.
A lot of times we measured that that's pretty quick because you're making an adjustment of nearly what you had. So +1 or -1. So if it says 5, you could go to 4 real quick.
Sure.
But if you're doing a spot check, can you also show off that there's another way to enter? For instance, if you had 30 of a product, you wouldn't want to hit plus 30 times.
Yes. Great point. So let's say we were checking the Mountain Dew because that is a high volume item and we're just looking down our rows to make sure everyone loves Mountain Dew. We want to make sure we always have this product in stock. I can tap on the item itself. It's going to bring up a more interactive, specific to product menu here. And this is where you get your full keypad where you can type in your 30 for your inventory. And if you needed to add any additional, add another 12 to make sure this market is happy and go from there. So Excellent. You can make the individual product changes as well to make the larger numbers.
Plus.
Yes, exactly. So again, the flexibility, but showing the drivers what they need first, and if they need to drill down deeper into any specific product, they can. When you have hundreds of SKUs at a micro market, that could get daunting to go product by product. So we're taking a macro approach for the market. We can use some of the data analytics to suggest what they should be checking first, and then you can go from there.
And it kind of rewards the driver too. The more accurate their inventories are, the less frequently you're going to have to spot check any individual item. Versus if the inaccuracy rate goes up, then they're going to be spot checking more frequently. And that just helps constrain both time while not having a negative impact to the overall quality of the data that we're collecting too.
Now, did you compare doing the spot checking versus inventorying every day and you didn't see a greater variance in shrinkage or in data that is just incomplete?
So one of the neat things that happens is if you reduce somebody's workload of tedious tasks, for instance, if you have to count 100 things, and if 90 things are going to be spot on, then you tend to just get real quick. Maybe sometimes, unfortunately, a bit sloppy because you're like, I've got 100 things that I have to get through real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so you can tend to skip over the problem items where you would need to spend more time. So we're really just trying to minimize the clutter. If there are going to be 30 items that are spot on, we're going to remove them from the driver's view so they can focus on the ones that are not going to be spot on.
Right.
That makes sense.
The exchanges, not only do we have them save time and count less stuff, but they're only counting stuff that's probably wrong. They know it, and so they're actually going to give it a little bit more attention. And it's not a trade-off between, they got fast, but they got more sloppy. It's they got fast and they got more accurate.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Maybe we check to see if there are any live questions on what we've gone through so far from the ad products and spot check.
Mm-hmm. Actually, if you go back to the checkoff list,
Absolutely.
There was a question about the driver doing it in a different order, and I'm not sure if that is in relation to, early when we were talking about it or in this page. Like, how does it move around or what?
Yeah, so actually this is a good point to address that specifically. If I backed out all the way out of this market to check my schedule, for example, you'll see that the Springfield market from sorry, that was the just beeping of the scanner. This market is in progress. It's changed from a gray check mark on the schedule screen to a yellow check mark, showing that it's not completed yet, but it has been started. And when you go back into the Springfield market, you'll see again 2 out of the 5 actions have been completed at this specific market.
Now, can you change it to say if a driver wanted to collect money before they spot check? Can the driver do that?
Absolutely. So they have the flexibility to do that as well. And even right now, I can go back into collecting money. This gives us the options to type in the cash bag number. for accountability to make sure that's where the money is going. Or if it is a no collect and there isn't cash at this market, you can just tap no collect and go from there. But for this market, we'll collect bag 1, 2, 3. And now we're done with collecting money.
Wow, terrific. Yeah. So can a market app and a vending app be used on the same device then? That was another question that came in.
That's a great question. So I'm using the iPad Mini 4 intentionally to bring up that point exactly. This platform, its reliability is one thing, but the flexibility is huge. Our app has been created for the same platform. Our vending app has been created for the same platform. And vending and markets can both be used on the exact same device. So both platforms, both types of services, a hybrid route driver who does markets and vending, and we know that many operators have those drivers, can use the same platform for both. So now you're getting the real-time data syncing, everything with cellular on the device. You can send that data live from the field for both your vending and your micro markets.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
How long does it take to train a driver on this app? And how many customers do you have customers using it right now? Well, obviously we saw Robbie, but how many? Give us a feel for what kind of research, how long it takes these drivers, and honestly, how these things that you showed us really save so much time. I mean, half as long.
That's
it's
actually
still in my head.
We're going to have to move, I think, more into the half as long question now on the training. I would say that got way faster than maybe half as much time to train a driver, and that's from our own experience. When Evan and I started the company in 2014 and we started training our first drivers, obviously everything was brand new. We were brand new to the product was brand new to the world, et cetera, et cetera. But when it started picking up steam, we'd spend days in the field training operations and supervisors and drivers how to use the Gimme system. Now Colleen's reporting to me that if she spends about more than 15 minutes with a driver teaching them how to use the app, they feel like maybe she's being pejorative because they got it a long time ago. Right, she's like, if you want to add product, tap it. Turn on the scanner. What do I tap? Nothing. Okay, let's keep moving. So what we've heard from drivers and from some of our operations personnel, not just Colleen, but we've got a couple other people in the field as well that are working to train drivers, and they're saying it's quick, 15 minutes quick.
That's terrific. Terrific training.
And I think to go to the second question there, back to the speed of the application, one thing that we didn't specifically address just because of how smooth it is working is when we're on the add product screen or the spot checking screen, as we're switching between, again, we're seeing all products on here right now. And if we were to go in and change these products individually, this screen, even to get to making these changes for a specific product, would potentially take time to load, depending on the type of server or the type of cell signal you have at that market. So every time you move between product to your next product, this process right now is extremely smooth and extremely fast, and doesn't have that lag or interruption that it might have for a traditional web application.
Excellent. There's actually a question related right to the Mountain Dew.
Sure.
Let me ask it. If I had Mountain Dew ads for that day, would they show up on the item detail portion of the spot check?
So let's go into spot check. It sounds like we're in spot check. Would those Mountain Dew ads show up from the screen? If I go back into Mountain Dew, the answer is yes. This individual product screen is tracking your inventory, your ads, and your spoiled or wasted throughout your service at the market.
Now, is it possible they were asking about blind inventories, where we do intentionally hide the inventory value, the ending inventory value, so that we have a reliable spot check? If I recall the question correctly, it was, do the ads show up on the spot check screen? The answer to that would be the ads would show up, but the total inventory would still be a question mark until you enter it.
Okay. So, and actually there's a question here too about ads and inventory. Okay. So if you would go a little bit into further maybe how those differ on your app than what they would look like in the field, so an operator understands.
Right. So ad products, this would be what's being brought to the market today. And then spot check is the total inventory with what was there before plus what's been added at the market there. So that count is specifically, this would be your final count as you are leaving the market.
What we found out is for the market's customers we talked to, they were highly pre-kitted. Vending, we've seen a mixed bag with our customers. Some pre-kit, and some don't choose to pre-kit. With markets, we found out that basically everybody is using, mostly everybody's using Lightspeed to pre-kit, which is great. It's a really great product. And when they do choose to pre-kit, which is all of them, they're using something to pre-kit, then you already know that 9 products were sent.
Right.
And so for the most cases, you're going to rely on, if your tote had 9 of this and 10 of that and 6 of those, you're putting them in, and then you're going to do the count. So when you arrive, you open, you add. Changing the adds would be infrequent, and only if you open the tote and said, oh, we're adding 9 of these, there aren't 9 of those. It happens rarely, but it happens sometimes. So when that happens, you usually just take a look at the 9, zero it out, and move on. Or maybe you notice you need more than 9, you have some on the truck or some through some other way, and you would just increase the count that way.
Right.
So the ads, for the most part, though, are highly reliable and automated. So the driver would put up the ads, take a look, make sure it matches what's in the tote, then probably do nothing on that screen, go back and go to spot check and start spot checking the inventories. But the process would be add the products first, then go and do the spot check.
Okay. And so because the ads are on each product that's pre-kitted, but the inventory is only done on the spot check items, so there might be, so you wouldn't, I guess, the question I had is, for a product, why wouldn't you just enter an inventory? If you have to add 4, why wouldn't you just enter the inventory?
The great thing is you don't even have to say that you added 4. Okay. So if you just open the spot check list and touch nothing, it's going to presume that you actually did all of those things. And we're able to count on that because of the pre-kitting nature.
Terrific. All right, wonderful. Well, let's see what other questions we have in here.
Awesome.
That's a pretty good
list. Keep them coming.
This is pretty good. All right. What markets is it available on, and vending management systems? What does the market app work on now?
Great, that's a great question. The Markets app, we are launching it today with 365 markets. We will bring it to other kiosk providers starting in early 2019. And the second part of the question is what VMS providers, what vending management software providers does this work with? Great answer there is it does not require a VMS to use the Markets app. You can have any vending management software,
including no VMS.
Including no VMS.
And if you have 365 markets, you can start using the app today.
Oh, terrific! Yeah. Terrific. Well, I know one big question that's always, we hear about this great technology. It does all these things. We've seen it in action. It'll save time. It looks real intuitive. How much does it cost?
That is an excellent question. And I know that sometimes this isn't part of live streams, but one of the things that we want to do differently at Gimme is be really transparent about our pricing.
Absolutely.
The price that's advertised is the price that's paid. Whether you have one market and you want to get started with your first market today and later roll it out to others, the pricing it's $20 per month per market.
Wow.
And there's no contract or minimum contract linked to that. If you want to get started with a market, it would be $20.
Right.
And if you want to get started with 2 markets, it's $40. And what we want to do to encourage, we want to thank the people who've been with us to this point today, and we want to encourage other people to check out our vending product as well, that we're also offering a bundled price. So if you decide to use markets with our vending product, then we cut it in half, and it's just $10.
Oh, wow.
So if you have Gimme Vending and you want to add 1 market, it'd be $10. And if you have Gimme Vending and you want to add 10 markets, it'd be $100. And I don't mean to go through simple arithmetic on the podcast, but there's no pricing game here. It's just simple. It's SaaS, and you can bring on and take off markets as you see fit.
Yep. Let's see, an operator wanted to do this. They're on board. Call you tomorrow. Get going. How fast does it take to implement? And how fast can they get on?
Yeah. Online? So I think traditionally, when it comes to technology, a lot of times I think some of the upfront scare is how long is this going to take me? What kind of project is this going to be to get this to work? With our Markets app, we can get you started in less than an hour. You just get on the phone. The only thing that we need on our end from the technology side is login information to the Smart HQ and or your ADM, and from there you're good to go. You can, as long as you have that and an iOS device in your hands, you can start using the app pretty much immediately compared to other, I think, technology deployments and rollouts. Yeah. So same day. Absolutely.
Same day. All right. Wonderful. Another question that just came in, and I think it would be worthwhile to mention this. So before you have any data, about which products in your market specifically deviate the most. How is that spot checklist being created?
So when you get started, as we accumulate that data, it's going to be more products than hopefully what it settles out to be. So the first time you do it, the suggested list is going to be probably pretty substantial. In fact, it may be either a full inventory or nearly a full inventory while we start to gather that data. Mm-hmm. And as we continue collecting, we're able to start easing back on products that demonstrate consistency and maintain the products that are highly variable.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. Mm-hmm. Well, wonderful. It really sounds like there's a lot going on to this app.
Sure.
Let's see if we have any other questions from the field.
Sure.
Let's see. We asked about integration. You mentioned that it doesn't need a vending management system necessarily, but it will integrate with all of them.
Right.
And which micro-market providers that you're partnering with right now?
Right.
The future 365 retail markets?
365 markets are available today. Again, doesn't matter which vending management software you're using. We would work with you as long as you have the 365 market portion.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
And we're not locking people into 365 either. We took a look at who's going to be represented as a leader in markets, and we chose to work, and we're excited to work at launch with 365. So if you've got Smart HQ, if you've got ADM, it works at launch, and we're going to continue working with, what's great to see is that every customer that we have doesn't just have one market provider. They get that value through a lot of partners. So even though we're launching with 365, starting in early 2019, we're going to continue to add on additional market providers.
Yep.
And it'll allow you to have one app for all your markets, no matter who the provider is.
Well, and you mentioned an integration with Lightspeed as well, so that's important to know. Correct. Did I get that right, or no? Is that the pre-kitting piece?
Right. It's not a direct integration, if you will, but we are able to, from the integration with 365, we are able to get the Lightspeed service orders and pick orders for those micro markets.
Right, so that's how that
they're complementary to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Well, that's excellent.
Maybe we hop back into the demo real quick. I know one thing, again, part of the updates we have coming out, this is a software product. It is a living product, and things will be tweaked week in, week out on our end. And one of the newer things we've been working on has been the taking photos portion. So we cut back to the iPad here. I also want to just quickly note, at the bottom of the screen, some of those you guys might have noticed, this has been a counting timer. So one thing, again, related to speed and the interface related to speed is tracking the time you take at a micro market. And so this can help drivers really be competitive against themselves as they go into markets and find new ways to be more operationally efficient at those specific markets.
Okay.
But I'll show everyone the take photo portion now. It's going to tap on that, start taking photos. Allow it, and we're going to take the photo of our entire micro market, one Nature Valley Crunchy for today. We'll go back here, and you'll see that photo is currently being uploaded. There is a yellow dot just letting it know that, hey, this is on its way up to the cloud, and as soon as you complete the service, these photos would be available with that service as well.
And just to clarify, the objective of the feature isn't to take photos of individual items.
Oh, sure.
It's just that on stage right now, we have a micro market of a single product.
Yeah, exactly. And that's to the feedback we heard from operators on that portion. Why would I take a photo of the market? Well, it's a couple ways. When your merchandisers are different than a standing vending machine that's a locked box with products. When it comes to merchandising, anyone in retail would know. Mom, if you're out there watching, I know you would know. The way that products look is highly important to the people that shop at those areas. And the shoppers, in this case, our operators, customers, are the consumers and the employees and going to the break room for an escape and for a place to enjoy a snack or a meal. Actually, most of the time, meals now with micro markets. So cleanliness becomes really important. And when you're taking a photo of the market or a specific cooler, this could help in so many different ways. And from cleanliness or from questions about products or pictures of you with your customers. It could be anything you would really want it to use, but at least, again, the application is providing that flexibility of being able to use the camera to specify images to a micro market.
I think great information too, having the timer on the bottom.
Sure.
For the manager getting, seeing what everyone's doing. Actually, speaking to that, so we've talked a lot about this is the route driver that has the device and is doing all this. How does the information get from there to reporting or a way so a manager can see the multiple route drivers, and what do they see?
Right. So we'll finish out this service of this market. One thing we didn't get into as we kind of hop back into it, because this is that final portion.
Okay.
We go into wasting products. This is where you have the ability to say, I'm wasting this many products. This happens with cold food most of the time because it has such a short lifespan. We go in, we finish wasting our products at this market as well. You can tap on any item in here. Again, adjust those numbers using a similar interface. And as we go back to our schedule, once we've completed all of those tasks at that market, it'll show a green check mark, letting the driver know, the route driver know. And now the managers who may be looking at the 365 backend for what is the progress of my routes I'm managing today, this is where they would get that information. So now that information is available live in 365 backend, whether that's Smart HQ or ADM or both, you'd be able to get that information real time in the field so you can watch the progress of your drivers throughout the day, but it'll automatically sync because of the cellular on the device.
So Emily, to answer the question, thank you, Evan, for completing the service so we can talk about it. Right now, you would continue to go on 365's backend and later additional backends as they already are to get the information as a manager standpoint. One of the unique things that our app does, though, is because if you are connected, say in the field, if you do have self-service, then also your manager could log in under that same route as well and see basically what the driver sees because they stay in sync. So if you want to know what's the driver done throughout the day, you could log in as that driver and it would load up the app the same way that they're seeing it as well. So it's kind of like a real-time glimpse into what's happening on their device, and then you'd use 365 Markets backend to continue to get the management news and reports that you're used to today. And as we expand that, you'd continue to go to the market providers backend to get those management reports.
Right.
Okay. Now, you talked about 365 HQ. They can see, it's updated in real time.
Assuming that it's online.
Assuming
Obviously,
that it's online. I'm sorry.
It's not online.
Sure.
No real-time connection. But
so, if how do you get the information to the product listings onto the device? Is that also from 365 HQ, or is that different? Is that from a different VMS? Is there a way to do it if you don't have 365? How does that work?
So if you don't have 365, and there are two flavors right now, Smart HQ and ADM. If you don't have any 365 market, then today you wouldn't be able to use the Gimme Markets app. And as we roll out additional compatibilities, you'd be able to start looking to use it at that time. So it would necessarily have to come from 365, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the quick answer. If you don't have 365, you
listing.
can't use the app at all. Also, there wouldn't be a product list. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to get started using it today. But that's where you'd manage the product list from today.
All right, wonderful. And what can operators do if they aren't using 365, but they logged on here and they would like to start doing this? I mean, do you have any advice? Should they? Oh yeah,
additional integrations are going to be coming soon. And what I would encourage is book one-on-one time with Evan directly from our website.
Yep.
You actually can use the link to click, and it's got his calendar pulled up, and you can actually schedule time with him directly right from there. Of course, there are options as well where you could, and we hope that you do sign up to our newsletter or follow us on Twitter.
Right.
And then, of course, we show up from time to time on Betting Market Watch. So if you want to stay plugged into what we're doing, check out and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Bam. Yeah.
To the
Now,
daily.
I was just going to follow that up. Definitely connect with us on social as it relates to Gimme updates. We stay on top of that, especially as it relates to new product announcements or product enhancements as well. So, absolutely.
Terrific. It sounds like a great product. I mean, you talk about how it cuts market service in half. The route driver loved the fact that the scanner was real reliable and it was faster, and there was only one app to use. That was nice. It sounds like with your integration with 365, it goes both ways. The manager can see it in real time if it's connected. And then the other way too, you can get the product listings from it. You have that spot checking feature, so it's not making the driver do work that, really 90% of the time they're not going to need to inventory, so it makes them a little happier at their job too. The timing feature, the photos. I mean, it sounds like a great package. Thank you so much, Cory and Evan, for putting on this.
Sorry to interrupt you, but before we have anyone drop off the call, there is another thing that we've been working on for a little while.
This is not in the script.
No, we're going to have to deviate off the script for a minute.
Oh, what script there was.
Out of the flow, if you will, of what we were going to talk about today, because I think it's really important that we talk about something big that Gimme's been working on for a while. And one of the things that we continue to come back to, whether it's vending or markets, and as we look to the future, we're spending human beings' time on some really basic stuff like counting. Mm-hmm. And we think that time could get better spent in other areas.
So you have a suggestion?
I have a suggestion. So why don't we cut, if you guys don't mind, if you could play a little video for me.
Eliminate the time spent manually counting products. Using your device's camera, automatically identify and count every product for perfect inventory accuracy. Introducing Gimme Auto Drive.
Did that do what I think it did?
It did do.
Did it count those bags?
It did count those bags.
Wow.
So at Gimme, for over a year now, we've been working on something that we call Gimme Swarm Vision. That's our code name for a project that we've been working on that uses a neural network, computer vision, machine learning system guided by humans to identify the products, where they're placed, and how many there are. It's using video so that you can get different angles, depth, to understand perfect planograms, perfect inventory counts automatically every single time. The driver will walk in, hold up their iPhone. Sorry. First, they're going to add the product. Then they're going to hold up the iPhone and the camera, walk past, make sure that the camera gets a clear view of each item, and then leave.
And that's their inventory. Wow.
Perfect inventories every time.
How? That just seems difficult to believe.
It's a lot of fantastic and completely brand new software. And like I said, guided by humans. We're using the neural network to learn and understand what products are and how many there are. Mm-hmm. And we're actually having humans check the values too as it's being trained. Right.
And remind us, what is this amazing addition called?
We're going to call it Auto Drive.
Auto Drive.
So if anyone was around when Gimme first got started, we called the original app the Gimme Drive app. Mm-hmm. And so this will be the Gimme Auto Drive product.
Oh, terrific.
And we don't want to keep people waiting. In fact, we've been working on it for a while now, and this will be launching January 15th.
Wow. So not too long. Not too long. And it's able to be used on the same iOS devices that the Markets app?
It will layer on top of both our vending and our Markets app. So you'll need to be using either our vending or Markets app, and this will sit on top and provide that perfect inventory, perfect planogram.
And do you have a pricing structure for this as well?
We do, but to follow with that one, that's something that you'll need to stay tuned on our website, gimmemarkets.com or gimmevending.com, to stay in the loop about availability and about pricing.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wow, how exciting. So not only the Markets app and the demo and all that, but an Auto Drive.
Auto Drive.
Just one little extra thing we wanted to talk about.
An automatic inventorying software. That's terrific.
Yep.
Wow.
And so just
game changer.
Well, thank you. And again,
we want that to transform how an operator thinks about doing business. In fact, we want an operator to realize, I'm paying people to count products, and I could pay them to merchandise. I could pay them to interact with the customer. I could be using their investment in time, not counting how many Cheetos are on a shelf, but instead engaging with the customer to build that connection between the end user and the operator themselves. We want it to completely change how people see their drivers and how they see their operation.
That's amazing. It probably changed how we train drivers too.
Absolutely.
And what the qualities we look for in a driver. Maybe
I think so.
Better, especially a micro-market driver.
Sure.
Wonderful.
Sure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Cory, for that added piece, and thank you, Evan, for all the explanations. This was wonderful, and thank you to everyone for joining us. If you were invited to the VIP event right after this, please join us the instructions that you got in the invitation.
Yep.
And to everyone else, thank you again so much for sticking with us this hour. And this was recorded, so you can review
Well, this
it.
is live.
Well,
But it
this
was
is
also
live.
recorded.
It was also recorded. I'm sorry. Correct. Yes. So it was also recorded, so you could review it later. Or if you have additional questions, Evan, you said that they can make a time slot with you.
Yes, I was going to just say everything will be on the website. After this is over, check the website, gimmemarkets.com. You'll be able to schedule time with me one-on-one if you do have additional questions and want to ask us. That's also where you'll be able to see everything about the Markets app and its availability and how you can start using it today. And again, for everything else, that'll be the place to go. GimmeMarkets.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, and happy holidays.
Thank you.